And we're live. Welcome everybody to another YouTube Hangout. I'm super excited to have my friend and special guest back with us again today, Stephen Kelly, who is the CEO of Sage, the accounting software company, and an overall champion and ambassador of entrepreneurs. And today we're talking about how to overcome adversity as an entrepreneur. Stephen, welcome aboard.
Great to be here again, Evan. Excited about the Hangout today and enjoying the series. A lot of fun, a lot of questions, a lot of debate, a lot of great input from everybody out there. Thank you.
Every time Stephen joins, he's in a different country. The first one was in London, last one was in Canada, and now he's in, where are you, in Portugal?
Hey, we're in Porto in Portugal. It's beautiful weather here. It's like 80 degrees, that's Fahrenheit, or 27 degrees centigrade. It's beautiful. Not anything could be as beautiful as Toronto. That great city, Evan. Your home city. But we love it here. It's great to be in Portugal. Lovely people, great place.
Cool. So today we're talking about adversity. And for those of you guys watching, there's that chat window on the side. And if you want to ask a question there, Stephen and I are going to answer them. But before getting to the questions, Stephen, you know how hard it is for entrepreneurs to get started. And there's going to be so many obstacles in front of you as you try to build a business. What advice do you have for business owners to overcome those adversities?
I think in some respects, you've got to step back to step forward. And you've got to really hang on to your dream, your passion, and you've got to have that word that's behind you, Evan, believe. You've got to believe. And inevitable, let's be really clear about this. I don't know anybody who's built a great business, who's gone from a startup and been living the life of an entrepreneur for months and years, who hasn't been hit, you know, probably sometimes when they least expect it, or crashed into a wall, or had a product problem, or issues have blown them away, or the market changed. So there's loads of things that will pop up, probably sometimes when you least expect them. So I think the reality is, point number one, you've got to expect that to happen. And when you kind of expect stuff to go wrong and you ask yourself, what could go wrong? You've got to be prepared for it. And we'll talk about some of those sort of strategies to overcome those adversities and drive on for success. Cool,
I agree. You think of anybody who's had success in any field, they're going to face adversity. And I think just understanding that you're going to come up against obstacles and that it's totally normal, I think that's your ticket in. And it's also a test. I think it's really a test of how dedicated you are to your business, to your idea, because when things get hard, that's where a lot of people will quit because they didn't have enough passion for what they were doing. And you have to be a little bit crazy. You have to be so in love with what you're doing that it forces you to want to continue on and continue on. Did you want to get to some of those points you had, or you want to jump into the questions that people are asking?
You know, I tell you, you kind of follow sport. There are some parallels here with sport. So if you follow great coaches like Vince Lombardi and these sort of guys, and around the whole mentality, a lot of it is about, you know, the karma of success. So, you know, quitters quit, you know, but fundamentally winners never quit. They just kind of find resilience to overcome the adversity of stuff that's kind of slaps them on the face, you know, just when you think you've made it. I think the reality of any sports team, any business person, any entrepreneur is, you know, just when you think you've made it, that's your biggest risk time. Because you and I know success is never final. You're never done. You never touch perfection. You're always trying to improve. And when you're feeling complacent and comfortable, that's actually when you could kind of slip back and face a real adversity. And at that point, if you're not mentally prepared, you're in a bad place because you're not ready to tackle it, overcome it, and clear the roadblocks out of the way. So yeah, let's take the questions. So I think I'll really open up the discussion.
Cool. So Jason started it off. He's talking about staying focused on the dream, the prize. And I'm curious, what is your big goal, your big dream, and then how do you stay focused on that prize?
So I guess our business at Sage, it's a really great question. And it kind of does generally get me up in the morning at crazy hours like 5 o'clock. The people we serve are entrepreneurs. They're the people Evan talks to every day, the people I talk to every day. We had loads of them in the office here today. Our customers, entrepreneurs, building their business. And why is this important? There's two reasons. One is these guys, you guys, are the powerhouse of the economy. You know, Canada at the moment in election fever, USA. Let's get back to reality. 2/3 of all the jobs created are created by entrepreneurs building their businesses, taking that extra employee on. And that absolutely gives you the opportunity both in urban economies and in the rural economies around the world. So number one that grounds us is you guys are the powerhouse of the economy. Number two, everything about entrepreneurship sometimes is a story of human sacrifice. It's a very human story. Give you 2 data points. The research we've done of our customers, entrepreneurs, is staggering. Over 1/5 of them, 20%, work more than 70 hours a week. So fundamentally, it really kind of brings it home that they're sacrificing and balancing their family life to really follow their passion, follow their dreams. The other thing that's staggering is, again, 70% of our customers who are entrepreneurs have either used their life savings or mortgage or remortgage their homes to fund their dreams and build their businesses. So when you know that effectively entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of the economy and it's a genuine story of human sacrifice, there is no noble cause greater than this. And that makes us feel hugely humbled, feels a tremendous sense of responsibility to do the right thing and to serve the entrepreneurs and allow them to really be more successful, grow their businesses, get time back on their calendar, and also be disruptive in the marketplace for them and really serve their customers better. So that's our mission, and it's really clear, that's our vision, and therefore we feel we've got a responsibility, I guess, to be the champion of entrepreneurs, to be sometimes with people like you, Evan, the voice of entrepreneurs, to make sure our voice is heard, because the value entrepreneurs drive for the economy is up here, but the voice is not heard often. And I think you, us, chambers of commerce, all the people around the world want to close that gap so that entrepreneurs really become part of the DNA of every economy.
I love it. I love it. I always love Stephen's passion for entrepreneurs. And to add to that, I think it's important to have that big why, right? The big why gets you going in the morning, gets you excited. Mine is I want to help 1 billion entrepreneurs. That gets me fired up, juiced up to have a big impact, to help a lot of you guys out. And so having that big why for your business helps keep you on track, helps keep you staying motivated even when days are really dark. Next question coming from Helper Desk. What was the worst day in business for you both, and how did you overcome it?
That's a great question. Now, I'd say there's not been one. There's been a lot for me. So actually, one of the times was when I started a business out in California, and I knew at that point in time, this is back almost 18 years ago, if we won a big order, we'd expand and we'd take on more employees. If we didn't win it, we'd have to look at letting some of our friends go. And these are friends of mine who I had in my backyard with their kids in the summer party, because we didn't do big hotels and stuff like that. We just said, come around, we'll get a few kegs of beer, bring your kids, we'll get a couple of magicians, we'll have some fun. So again, this is a very personal relationship where you've attracted friends to the company, and literally at a pivot point of either we win a big customer or we don't, you're facing binary decisions as to expansion or contraction. So that just generally made me at the time almost lose sleep. So just casting my mind forward, that was probably one of my worst days in terms of my life, because it was very personal. I was going to have to let friends go if we weren't successful, and that really broke my heart.
For me, it was when I told my business partner that I quit, because I'm not a quitter. And in my first software company, we were just sucking hard. We put in so much effort and time and resources and energy and just weren't getting the traction that we needed. And I told them that I quit, and then bawled my eyes out, barely slept that night. And the next day I just woke up and said, I can't quit. I gotta keep doing this. And showed up at his apartment the next day, and he welcomed me back, and thankfully didn't bring up the story. And we just went back to work. And I think it was just, again, remembering that what's the big thing that we're trying to do. Keeping the big picture in mind can help save you from the day-to-day negativity that will come and be thrown at you. Marek is asking about communication. How do you improve your communication skills? Maybe a little off topic, but interesting since we're doing communication here. what have you done, Stephen? Obviously a great communicator, amazing speech deliverer. What would your advice be in terms of improving your communication skills?
I think, you know, I think it's really important on communication. Probably the key word is authenticity.
Yeah.
So, actually, even more so in a mobile and social world. You know, the world of our world, Evan, where we're pretty active in social media. I think generally people are looking for authentic visionaries, leaders with high integrity. And it comes back to, you know, what is the mission and the purpose, the common sense of purpose we have. And then, you know, I think the other thing that's really important with communication is relentless consistency. Saying, you know, this is our mission, this is our noble cause, this is what really kind of grabs us and gets us up, and our passion. And keeping true to that. And actually, inevitably with communication, sometimes it's really good and powerful to repeat the message and be consistent and never waver from that, because there's always detractors, there's always naysayers, and part of that is it's worth calibrating the naysayers and surrounding yourself with a few optimists as well, good communicators who can sort of coach you and just keep your spirits up. But I think communication is key, and both traditional communication and social communication have got to be integrated with authenticity.
Yeah, I love it. You know, along with authenticity, the word that came to mind for me was honesty, which is very similar. You know, just like what I share on my channel is what I honestly feel. And if I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know. Everything I share is based on my experiences. To add to that, I would also say one of the hardest things that I've had to do is learn how to have tough conversations with people, to not let something just slide because I'm afraid to have that conversation or it might be awkward. And as an entrepreneur, you talk about adversity, that's going to come up a lot. You're going to have employees who you might need to get rid of, customers who you might need to have tough conversations with. And the sooner that you can approach that, and again, with authenticity and honesty and maybe admitting that you made a mistake, I find that that really helps. And that's part of my progression as a leader, something I wasn't very good at earlier on in my career.
Actually, I think that's a really important point. It's sort of something to, number one, hang out about being vulnerable, sort of expressing our vulnerability, sometimes on anxiety. But on that point, I think the honesty and authenticity allows us to always say, you know, I've worked for, 30 years. I've never met anybody who's worked with me or for me who's ever come to work to try and do a maliciously bad job. Everybody wants to do their best. Right. Everybody wants to do a great job. Everybody wants to love customers. Everybody wants to work with colleagues they really respect. So as leaders, kind of, if stuff's getting in the way, we've just got to be honest and kind of, as you would say in Canada, get the moose on the table. You know, get the elephant in the room and talk about what's stopping us being successful. And I think the other key thing to remember here, and it's important around communication, is always be compassionate on the individual, always supportive of the person, because they're all good people, but always be ruthless on the issue. What's stopping us being successful? And separating, almost mentally in our heads, separating this individual is a great person, but actually the performance isn't going as well as we want, or the product's not as good, or the presentation's not as good, or whatever it is, and let's deal with it and be very specific. I think people respond, ironically, people respond really well to feedback. So many times, especially bigger companies, they don't get any feedback and there's no honesty, and people just tell them what they want to hear. And then all of a sudden there's some big thing called a performance review, and all this stuff comes tearing out the cupboard that, wow, this is just right.
Right.
Why didn't you do that 8 months ago? And, you know, where's that come from? And I just think we've sort of, again, a lot of responsibility for continually keeping people connected with a mission. And the only way we do that is through honesty. And we say, great guy, but let's just talk about some of the things in terms of the performance that we need to raise the bar to do a better job for customers. And that honesty actually builds great teams. And as you build from startup and you take your 5th employee and 10th employee and all these sort of things, it creates the culture and the DNA of the company that's really compelling and allows you to scale.
Yeah, I love it. As a follow-up on the communication question, John Holt is writing in asking about becoming a public speaker. Wants to be a speaker, wants to find places to speak and fail as a beginner, but in places that won't ruin his credibility in the future when he's awesome. So what advice do you have about becoming a speaker and failing at the start and finding places to get some experience so you can overcome those early adversities?
Well, you kind of said it, I think, in terms of the question. It's all about practice. You know, I don't know, some famous golfer named Gary Player, who said kind of the more I practice, the luckier I am. The more you practice, the better speaker you'll be. And I just think it's a gift. But it's a gift that can be taught and learnt. And it's an area where, you know, we've talked about mentorship before. It's an area where I'd start, if you wanted to get into it, go into an area actually which is sometimes the most difficult area of people who actually know you. Sometimes you will feel that it's easier to present to complete strangers than people who know you. But actually, if you work and start presentations with people who know you, then, and it could be like, I don't know, your community group, or you go back to your school if you've got a job or you're a startup or a coder, you go back to talk to the computer science kind of high school kids and do a presentation about why should they be excited about the world of computer science and coding. And that's a great way. And then you can kind of go along to the teacher who used to teach and say, kind of, how did I do? What could I have done differently? What could I do? But after, when you've done a presentation, then it's about those magical open questions, those friends of yours, like, what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? You know, what messages did we kind of resonate? And then also kind of just always ask for feedback, because feedback is absolutely the food of improvement. So that's what I'd test drive it, exactly what you say. Don't worry about failure. There is no failure. It's just practice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would also start a YouTube channel. Get used to speaking in front of a camera and having people see your opinions, and maybe it's a little less intimidating than speaking in front of an audience at the start. I get a lot of, or maybe most of my speaking gigs through my YouTube channel. People see me talking and they want to hire me to speak at different events. And you talk about, the question talked about places to speak where it ruin his credibility in the future. I don't think there's that many places you really have to worry about ruining your credibility. You know, the first place I spoke at was the YMCA, and 3 people showed up at my free event. You know, not the biggest start, but does it look bad on my resume that I started at the YMCA? You know, I don't think there's that many places that really would be a knock against you if that's where you started. So just start. To all of Stephen's points, reach out to your network, places that you've worked before, teachers, clubs that you're a part of, and just offer to do a speech to get some practice. And also get on YouTube, film those speeches, do your own sessions, just one-on-one with the camera. And the more practice you get, like Stephen said, the better you're going to get at speaking. I love it.
The other thing, throw out there, you know, back to your business, your dream, following your dreams. Try and pick something you're passionate about, because people, when they're listening to you, will feel that kind of infectious, contagious energy, that passion, and that will travel across, and it will be absolutely compelling. So try and, you know, if ever you're a great motivational speaker, because you're passionate about entrepreneurs, you believe, you've got loads of experience relevant, but your heart is totally aligned to the passion, and that's why you're such a compelling speaker. And I kind of think you have to be something that you really care about, and that always helps to give you that energy and the motivation for people to listen.
Love it, and it ties well into the next question. It comes from Michael, who's from Toronto. He says he has some money saved up and he wants to start a business, but isn't sure where to put the money into, and do we have any suggestions for him?
Well, I think you kind of let it. And by the way, just to kind of a little plug, good luck, Blue Jays. We're crazy. I love you people out there. So I would say, think of, we did this in a great hangout. It's probably worth watching, but it's find something that really frustrates you, because there's probably a business idea there. Secondly, find what you're really passionate about, because there's definitely a business idea there. And then test drive it, you know, prototype it, talk to your friends, talk to your network, talk to potential customers. And you can do it through social media now. The great news is you can create companies at like the speed of light, have them up and running in weeks. And you could even be selling products and services to overseas, jurisdictions and consumers outside Canada or the US, in this case, Canada, because the web is just a small window on the world. So if you're out there on social, you're out there on the web, you can move really quickly. And what that gives you is the opportunity to kind of do rapid course correction as you stay true to your passion, but what is the value you're going to create? So it's all about what's the value creation for either solving a problem, making people's lives easier, or enhancing people's lives with the product or services that you really care about, and then kind of get it to market, test drive it as much as you can and pursue it. And then, put the foot on the gas when you've hit the kind of silver bullet.
Yeah. I don't think anybody can tell you what business to start. I have my opinions of what businesses I want to start, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they pick up Inc. magazine or Entrepreneur magazine. There's the list of the 50 hottest businesses that you got to get into. And maybe apps is on the top of that list. And so I'm going to get into apps because there's a huge opportunity there. But you have no passion for apps and you know nothing about apps and you're not a programmer. And so a lot of people jump into these businesses because they think it's hot, but they always fail because they don't have that passion that keeps things alive when things get tough, when you have to face massive adversity. And so the best business to start is the one that you are most excited about, passionate about, keeps you awake. Like Stephen said, you solved the problem for yourself that now you want to share with other people. And all of the steps that he talked about were great, practical, like here you're step-by-step to get started. And it all begins with having that deep core passion for what you're doing. Don't just chase the opportunities. Don't just chase where you think the dollars are going to be. Do something that makes you come alive and the money will follow. Peter, how do you know when it's time to quit your business and start something else? Would quitting be a sign of defeat?
Depends on what you're doing. But we used to say we want to go around people who used to fail, and kind of that tremendous tenacity and perseverance to overcome adversity. I think reality is if it's in the end you kind of work it's a dumb idea and there's no value for the customers or the market, then it's really important to say actually stop that idea. But the experiences I've gained will power me into a different idea of where my passion is. And I've actually been an angel investor in 2 businesses where they have brilliant ideas, but the market just changed against them. And they actually had a fantastic, startup management team, loads of innovation in the business, but the market just wasn't there. But having said that, the 3rd time that they actually went and became successful, refocusing their ideas on a new market they were passionate about, they've had success. So I kind of think there's 2 things. One is kind of pursue, when you determine you're going to quit, the best way to validate that is either socially or directly talk to consumers, talk to the customers you're trying to serve. If they say it's a crazy idea and there's no value, or it might be too early for the market, loads of ideas are too early for the market and they're not ready for prime time, then kind of pause, do course correction, determine where you can move, get back to your passion and come up with an idea that's going to work.
I guess my curveball answer would be loving your business, then it's time to move on. And that may not be quitting the business. That could be selling the business too. There's loads of entrepreneurs who build it up, their company to a certain size, and then they get bored. And then they start looking for other things to do, whether it's investing in new companies to start. And if, when that happens, your current business just kind of stagnates because you're not pouring the love, energy, passion that you were pouring in before. And so the answer for me is, if you lose the fire, it's time to move on. If it's at the point where you can sell it to somebody else, great, do that and do something that makes you come alive again. And if it's at the point where it's not something that anybody would want to take on because it's too embryonic and the market wasn't there, you couldn't get customers, then close it down and go do something else. And there's lots of failures that you'll have along the path. Failure isn't the enemy. The enemy is keeping on doing something because you feel you should, but you don't have passion for it. You're never going to be able to build anything great if you don't have that energy and excitement that wakes you up every morning to go and pour into your company. Char is asking, how do you keep a daily routine going? Stephen Kelly. Stephen Kelly has an insane daily routine. Tell us about your daily routine.
Love it. So you've got your passion, you're building your business. I think cadence is really powerful and karma, and that comes from routine and structure. So I'm a massive fan of routine, structure, and discipline. You have to be pretty self-disciplined, because reality is all the entrepreneurs we serve, people like Evan and me, you work long hours, so you want to be as productive as you can in those hours and find out kind of what your body clock is. So whatever it is, honestly, I'd pick up a routine that you follow, works for you. And for me, I get up this morning, I got up, 5 o'clock, went for a run, had a car, dropped me at the airport, got on a budget airline, came out to Portugal, and I've done my email on the way, I've done some Twitter on the way, all that. It's just part of my routine. Other people I know, I've got huge respect for, kind of would meditate for 15, 20 minutes. So whatever works for you, but I kind of think really important to pick a routine that works for you, hits the nail on the head, and allows you to become really productive. And when you're in the zone, being an entrepreneur, you're really in the zone. You're not kind of drifting off to other people, not drifting off to football games and stuff like that.
I have a usual morning routine. I usually wake up now. I don't wake up that early. That's crazy for me. I'm a salsa dancer, so we're up late at night. So I'm up at 7:45 in the morning with my wife, and I'll usually, make her breakfast and lunch for the day that she can go to her normal job. I'll do a little bit of meditation and then kind of figure out what I'm going to do for the day. Just have a little action plan, and then do a run as well. Workout. One thing I find hard though is when I'm traveling, it always falls apart. And I know, Stephen, you're an insane traveler. Every day you're in a different country almost. How do you keep that going when you're traveling so much?
Well, I think the great, the internet has shrunk the world. So I can be connected here, anywhere in the world, and available potentially 24/7 if I choose to. Something that is really important to me, and it sends a message right across the company. And we definitely are passionate about entrepreneurs growing their businesses. So every time I come to a Sage office, wherever it is around the world, whether it's Johannesburg, Toronto, out here in Porto, I want to structure, and the structure is really simple. First people I see are customers. So we get out and we had a load of customers in here, and we talk about stuff happening in their business, what the challenges are, what the adversities are, how they overcome them, what we can do better, how we can raise our game. Then we have our partners, we have people like accountants who help businesses, and then we'd always do an all hands meeting. And then I kind of meet the management team last thing. So literally we do an hour session with customers, then partners, accountants. The all hands meeting is all our colleagues get to listen to me for 5-10 minutes. If they're still awake at the end of that, which I pray they are, then and all I talk about is, again, it comes back to authenticity, because I just say, what did the customers say? What are on the customers' minds? And how do we do a better job for our customers? How do we get, the great thing, I'll be honest, the great thing about being a chief executive is everybody overcomplicates stuff. The great thing about entrepreneurs is actually business is pretty simple. And as entrepreneurs, we should seek to simplify things. I see running a business almost like two perfect sides of a coin. You got customers and you got your colleagues and the people you hire. And if you actually get real focus, clarity, alignment with your colleagues and get them really energized, they will make magic happen for customers. And it is contagious. And then customers go and tell their friends, and then you all of a sudden create a sort of volunteer army who are on your crusade. And it's very, very kind of high energy. So when I go traveling, I have a kind of, again, routine, a structure. It's kind of the same routine. I'll spend 5 hours here, then back on doing social, catching up on emails, catching up on documents, reading all that sort of stuff. So it does demand quite strong discipline, but I just think it guarantees you're most productive. You're always in the zone when you need to be.
I love it. I could learn from that. I remember when I went down the Sage Summit in New Orleans, I think I just lived on Twitter for those 3 or 4 days. Just lived on the iPad and the laptop, just on Twitter, because there was so much excitement and happening, and my regular schedule and routine got thrown out the window. So next time I travel, I got to stay more on track. I like it. A follow-up question, Gaurav is asking, how much do you sleep?
Evan, you're going to kill me. You're going to kill me for saying this. I kind of think this is a bit, a bit of my jokey side. I say sleep's for the next life. We get plenty of time there. But in reality, again, it's structure and balance, and everybody, some people need 4 hours sleep, some people need 8 hours sleep. So your body's talking to you. You've got to listen to your body. And for me personally, if I get anything between 4 or 6 hours sleep, I'm fine. And then, I go on holiday and I catch up and stuff like that. But in reality, I think this point is not how much sleep do you need? And it's a very personal thing. And to Evan's point, I'm probably more of a morning person. Evan's a salsa dancer. He's out, rocking the halls and making magic happen salsa-wise, 11 o'clock at night. So we're just chemically different, and you got to respect that. And you got to listen to your body.
Interesting. Do you plan, if you're a morning person, do you try to plan your day around the mornings and have meetings in the mornings? If you know you might fall off later at night, do you try to structure your day around who you are as an individual?
Yeah, I tend to do the probably higher intensity stuff in the mornings, and then stuff like reading, catching up, and that stuff is either weekends or evenings, so later in the day. So yeah, and actually something I do, if I'm in one of our Sage offices, which is kind of quite often the case, typically in the afternoon, what I love doing, it's just magic, this is magic, is just doing a walkabout, the old kind of management by walking about stuff. It's amazing what you learn when you go and just chat to people, sit across the desk, talk what's going on, maybe talk about the football game at the weekend, but then get on to, what's going out there with customers. What problems are you facing today? What's on your mind? What worries you? You hear all this stuff from Stephen Kelly about it's translating the rhetoric to hitting the road and making sure when the rubber hits the road, there's no gap. So, and I think it comes back, if you're honest and authentic, it's amazing what people tell you. And actually, I'll make a bold, so you don't need fancy consultants reading your watch and telling you the time and charging you for it. Just go and talk to your customers, go and talk to friends, network, mentors. And when you kind of hired a few people, those people care passionately about the success of your business. And they're the best calibration and the most honest conversation you can have as to what can we do better. So you've got such a rich network of people who are absolutely rooting for your success and your business's success and your passion, especially customers. That what I do in the afternoon is I just go on a walkabout, just go and talk to people, find out what's happening. And it's just a conversation on what can we do better. And you always find golden nuggets. You find amazing things, just literally diamonds in the rough that you can shine and say, wow, that's a really good idea.
I love it. I love it. Next question is, Evan and Stephen, what do you do when you are depressed? Wow,
that's a great question. Do you know what? I'm pretty lucky, I guess, because and I've had bad days, we talked about those, but I tend to have some optimistic people around me. And I say, this is it, and I share vulnerabilities and I have an honest conversation. And I always think that actually, the thing that grounds me most of all is just how lucky I am. And I never forget that. I came from nothing in terms of when I started life. I know I end with nothing because we all go the same way. And we're just on a journey where we've got to do the best we can, make a difference, and follow our North Star. So when I look at, you look across Europe at the moment and the stuff that's happening and the people who are kind of leaving their homes and picking up their bags and their kids, and you think, wow, Stephen, you're depressed for a nanosecond, just slap yourself hard and just think of some of the other people out there. Switch CNN on and you'll think, wow, there's Stephen, you're a lucky boy. And I say with this job in Sage, I said it when I joined it, I said, honestly, dream job, luckiest boy in the world. And I never forget that. I always hang on to that. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, you're following your dreams, doing what you love, building something special and sustainable, serving the people you really care about, wow, it's a huge privilege and a responsibility. And there's just so many people. You can look over your shoulder down any main street and think, yeah, there's thousands of people less fortunate than me. And that's the biggest kind of injection of optimism that kind of leaves depression behind.
Yeah, I love the idea of injecting more gratitude. It's something I feel like I could do a better job of as well. I think depression's a big word. That's a heavy word. And I honestly don't think I really get depressed because of creating an environment that supports me, right? I'm doing things that I love. I'm surrounded by people who I love and who love me, who are optimistic. We're trying to do things both in my personal and professional lives. And that's been by design. And so because I have that support system and I'm doing something that I love, I don't really get depressed. Now, I do have bad days and I can get down. And what honestly helps me is you guys looking at my YouTube comments. If I ever am down, I had a bad day, I'll just go to my YouTube comments and see all of the awesome things you guys are saying about the videos that we're making and how it's impacting you. And that makes me feel like I'm doing something meaningful and I'm having an impact on the world somehow. And so I call those the little whys. And maybe there's a correlation somehow in your business to look at who are some individual customers that you've helped out, you know that you've had a meaningful impact on them, whether it's reviewing old emails or having a phone call with somebody. Just knowing that you're making a difference and an impact can really help you kind of rise up a little bit and not be as sad. But if it's like hardcore depression, then I think there's something wrong with your environment. You're either not doing something that you love and or the people around you aren't supportive of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think Evan and I would probably both feel we're both very lucky, because if I have a bad day like Evan, I'll probably go down to the gym, I'll get on the treadmill, I'll listen on my iPhone to the Killers, and I'll come out of that gym feeling, wow, you're a lucky boy. Just go for it. But we would totally recognize if people have got serious kind of clinical depression, then we're not the guys to come to. They should go and help, get medical help, get counseling support, because I think that's outside the scope of this hangout. But we're talking about bad days, but we're totally sympathetic if folks generally have medical depression. That's a different field.
Yeah. Jeff is writing in, Evan and Stephen, how do you overcome the crushing feeling of despair while running and trying to grow a business you no longer like or enjoy?
Oh, I think that's it. Because I think the reality is, being an entrepreneur, it is a roller coaster. It's a world of ups and downs. It's a day of fantastic achievements. You go on your YouTube channel, you go on your Facebook, you feel invigorated. The next day, something whacks you, someone resigns, or someone comes after your competitor, or you lose a customer, or something happens, or you get a bad review on social media, and it can be crushing. I kind of think that's what we talked about. You got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and crack on with it, because we're all passionate about what we're following. But if it's genuinely kind of despair, then I think if it's got to a stage, you've got to ask yourself, am I still passionate about this business? If not, think about, well, what's the appropriate exit? Because again, what do? We spend 2/3, 3/4 of our conscious lives working following our dreams. And we're not being true to ourselves if we know what we're pursuing is something we're not passionate about. So, ultimately, if someone comes along and offers to buy the company, that's probably a good exit. And you should do that, go and start the new gig of something you're passionate about.
Yeah, I totally agree. The key thing in the question there was at the end, so running a business that you no longer like or enjoy. If you don't like or enjoy what you're doing, you're never going to be great at it. So get out. If it's at the point where you can sell it, great, sell it. If not, then just close shop and go do something that makes you come alive and that you are passionate about. Because the feeling's only going to get worse. If you feel like it's despair and crushing right now, it's only going to get worse the longer you keep doing something that you are not in love with. I think we have time for one more. I know you're kind of cut against the clock here today. Hang is writing in, hi, Evan and Stephen. I don't know what I want. I feel impertinent. How do I find myself in my dream?
I think you got to think about, what do I love doing? What do I really get excited about? What am I passionate about? what is it I could do where we could create some value in a business that means we can materially improve the well-being of either consumers, business customers, or whatever the community we're trying to serve. That's kind of the key thing. If you don't know that, test drive. Try a few things. Try stuff that you really believe in and you could become passionate about, and see if you become absolutely overwhelmed and you find them. These are the things to strike up a true mojo. If they are, then follow. So I think with this sort of thing, think about it. Sit back, reflect, ask your buddies, find stuff you really love, try some stuff, test drive some stuff, and if it's working, do more of it, put the foot on the gas. If it's not, kind of reflect again, think about what is it I'm passionate about.
I totally agree. I think if you don't know what you want to do, you have to just start exploring. Just say yes to things, start exploring, see what makes you come alive, and whatever you feel excited about, just do more of that. And don't put this huge expectation like this has to be my next big thing, because you're setting yourself up for failure. Just go try a bunch of things, see what you love, see what excites you, and then take that and the next step and the next step. And you'll find that you follow a certain path. And if you put too much pressure on yourself, then you probably won't get there. Stephen, I know we're out of time. So many great comments. A lot of people saying thank you so much. Really helpful. Really appreciate it. Somebody really liked that you plugged the Killers. For people,
I love Brandon Flowers. What a band.
They're going to be working out to it with you in the mornings now. For people to find you, I know we have your Twitter handle in the description. Is there any kind of last message you want to leave people with?
Yeah, I think, Evan, you kind of said it all, but it really is as succinct as this. Follow your dreams, find your passion. Wow, that will get you really so excited, building a fantastic business, achieving things that other people will say were impossible and the pessimists kind of are left behind. When you hit some roadblocks, pick yourself up, dust yourself down, because tenacity and persistence, is an absolute key requirement of great entrepreneurs. And I don't know any entrepreneur that's made it that hasn't literally ran head on into concrete walls, bounced off, dusted themselves off, got up again, and pursued their dreams. And people come with you, and they, that's a real sign of leadership. People will follow, your customers will follow, all the people who want you to be successful, all your kind of community and your network will back you, and you can do it. You've got to believe in yourself. It all comes down to what's in here when you wake up in the morning, the passion of which you pursue your dreams.
I love it. Great final words. Stephen, thank you so much for spending your time again with us today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Continue to believe, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Evan. Thanks, guys. Great to talk.